what we're trying to do here is we're trying to cause an out-of-body experience. And the easiest way to do things in this state is to go 2 or 3 REM cycles through the night. So let's say you go to sleep at 10 p.m. REM cycle lasts about 2 hours. So after midnight is 1, 2 a.m. is 2, 4 a.m. is 3. If you wake up at 6 a.m., then 4 a.m. is usually the REM cycle you're going to want to start this with. So at 4 a.m., a few hours before you wake up, set the intention to cause an out-of-body experience. Okay, now what you do is you relax your body. You don't really move. You don't think a lot. You have to think a little bit, though. It's a very fine balance. And it took me a while to figure out what balance was required. So if you start thinking about things you need to do throughout the day, like I have this chore, that chore, it won't work. That'll keep you too awake. But if you don't think of anything at all, you will literally just fall right back asleep. What I do, and this works basically every time, is do really, really easy things to imagine. Like maybe imagine a sun rotating across the sky or a moon rotating across the sky. Just something that's really easy to visualize. So you do that. What I do is I take math. I add small numbers in my head because I find that if I can't add the number, I know I'm about to fall asleep. So then I kick up my awareness just enough to where I don't fall asleep. So after maybe it could be as soon as 30 seconds. It could take minutes, depends. Your body will feel like nothing. It just won't be there. You'll just be pure awareness. And in that state, what you can do then is you imagine yourself like a string like a guitar string, and imagine that you can feel the string. And what you do with that string is you increase its vibration. Like you pluck the string and it vibrates. But you want to make sure you can feel that. And what you do is you add more and more and more energy into it. So at first, the string is going up and down like this. It's slow. But as you add more and more and more, it goes faster and faster and faster. And so at that point, once you can no longer increase the frequency, it literally feels like an earthquake, like your bed is shaking. I kid you not. Like it's insane. But I assure you, your body's not moving. You're not moving. It's all in your mind. And what you do there is you open your eyes. Once you're in that state, just open your eyes. Because you're not actually connected to your physical eyes anymore, it's going to open your metaphysical ones. And if you did it right, you will see yourself in your bed in the exact same position you're laying. And then what you do is you sit up. And you know you did it correctly when you look back and you see your physical form lying in the bed. And you can look at your torso and like, oh, I can see my breathing going on. So you're out of body at that point. You're observing from an outside perspective. That's just really fun to do. I do that on occasion. But where things get wild is recognizing that a lot of religions and philosophies that have existed for thousands of years, that state is really just a launch pad state to where you can go from there to just about any other plane in existence that we have access to. There's multiple planes of existence. Different religions have different numbers for it. In Buddhism, there's a total of 31 planes of existence, I believe, which is a lot. We're on just one of those planes. And it happens to be actually a lower plane. So the planes that we visit in this out-of-body experience, it can be lower or higher. Usually when you start off, it's really close to this one. Like it's close enough to where you could still observe things on this plane, but you also see things that are not on this plane. This is where you can then astral project. So you're not actually in the astral plane at that point. You're just in a plane that's very close to this one. So once you are there and you're out of body, you're going to want to do a very similar exercise to reach the next plane. And the idea is that you use that same technique to go to every successive plane. So you can imagine it as a pyramid where right now our consciousness is right here on the pyramid. When you go out of body, you go a little bit up. And then to astral project, you go a little more up. And so each time you're getting a little bit higher and higher and higher. And so I've had several experiences on the astral plane. Longest one lasts maybe 15, 20 Earth minutes. And it's, you know, you're there when it feels more realistic than this experience we're sharing right now. It literally feels more realistic. The correct term is surreal, so more than real. And paradoxically, even though it feels more real, you're more aware that it's more illusory. So there's like a collision of ideas there. It's really interesting. But according to the Theosophists, that place, the astral plane, is actually where we go after we physically die. Because within us, we have many other non-physical forms we can't see, but we can feel and we can think about. We can observe in more subtle ways. And so the death of the physical body is just the end of one of our vessels. It's literally just a vessel. But there's more vessels that are within us that live longer than the physical body. But the truth is that those eventually die too. So once the physical form's gone, you then have the astral form and all higher bodies, more immaterial forms. On the astral plane, you also live out a life. You remember stuff that happened on Earth because you still have your mental body. The mental body hasn't died yet. You live out another lifetime on the astral plane, and there's books that talk about the astral plane and its scenery and its inhabitants. Charles Leadbeater did an excellent job with that. And then your astral form dies, just like your physical form. So when that happens, the astral form is responsible for perceiving emotion. So what that means is that once you no longer perceive emotion, because that part has separated from our entirety of our existence, we then perceive thought forms as our substrate of reality. We're no longer perceiving the world as we see it here or on the astral plane. We now see what Christian theologians considered as the white heavens. So the white heavens is not where we're going to after this experience. It's the experience after the next experience. And there it's beautiful. It's like everything you think. You could see thought form as radiant lights, as rainbows. And everything there is just a realm of pure light and communication. Telepathy is effortless because it just happens instantly. It can happen down here too, but it requires different states and whatnot. However, up there, it's instant. It's literally instant. It's instant connection. You just know that you know. That's what it's like being there. There are planes above that, but the literature that we have here on Earth is just so minimal because it's very difficult to explain the astral plane with relation to an earthly perspective, let alone trying to explain the mental plane. It's just extremely difficult to do. And so even though there are planes of existence beyond that, we really can't use language, because the mental plane, when we think of something, when we think of language, like the language I'm using to convey to you these ideas, it is more subtle than an idea. What we're trying to describe is more subtle than an idea. So how on earth could we use language to describe those higher planes? So then it's best not to even discuss them.